Hey man, let's get brutally honest for a minute. If you've ever had your heart broken, your ego shattered, or your sense of identity slowly dismantled by a woman you thought you could trust, this is for you. I'm not saying this out of bitterness, and I'm definitely not here to bash women. This isn't about blame, it's about truth. I'm speaking as a man who has walked through the emotional battlefield, blindsided, betrayed, confused, and somehow made it out the other side with something more valuable than love. Clarity. And that clarity is this: never take a woman too seriously too soon. Not her words, not her affection, not even her intentions, until they've been backed by consistent action over time. Without theatrics, without emotional whiplash. Because the moment you take her too seriously, before she's earned that seriousness, is the moment you begin to lose your grip on who you are. You shift from being a grounded man to becoming a boy who chases validation, seeks approval, and builds his worth on her emotional tides. And that's exactly when your power begins to slip away. Let's be clear, women are amazing. They are radiant, intuitive, nurturing, deeply emotional, and endlessly mysterious. But they are not anchors. They are not your stability. They are not built to be your foundation. They are waves, constantly in motion, shifting with the wind of emotion and experience. One day she's all in, texting you like you're the only man on earth. The next she's distant, confused, and needs time to think. One moment you're her future, the next you're just another chapter. That doesn't make her cruel. That doesn't mean she lied. That's just how feminine energy flows. It moves, it shifts, it expresses without always committing to logic or permanence. And if you treat those waves like stone, if you build your emotional home on what was only meant to be a passing tide, you'll drown in disappointment every single time. The truth is, a man loses his edge, not when a woman walks away, but when he hands her the responsibility of defining his worth. When he lets her moods dictate his direction, when he confuses attention with devotion. That's not love. That's emotional dependency dressed up as romance. So let her prove herself. Let time speak louder than her lips. Let her actions build trust before you offer your seriousness. Because if you give your center away too quickly, don't be surprised when you wake up spinning in circles, wondering where your power went. This fluidity, this ever-changing emotional landscape is what makes her truly feminine. But here's the catch. When you, as a man, expect stability and unwavering consistency from a force that is naturally designed to move, ebb, and flow, you're setting yourself up for disappointment every time. The moment you take every word she says as gospel truth, the moment you treat her affection like a binding contract, you've already lost the game. You've handed over the script of your life, the direction of your emotions, and the keys to your self-worth, all before she's earned them. You need to stop assigning permanent meaning to what are often just temporary feelings. That late night "I miss you" text, it's rarely a heartfelt proposal. More often it's loneliness, boredom, or a momentary craving for connection. That smile she gives you across a crowded room, it's not a promise of forever, it's a spark. A fleeting moment of attraction. If you build grand castles in your mind on those brief, delicate gestures, if you base your emotional well-being on them, you're planting the seeds of your own emotional bankruptcy. Because the truth is, feelings come and go. Intentions shift. Words are cheap until backed by consistent action. Your peace and power come from learning to see past the surface, to wait for the patterns that reveal genuine commitment, not just momentary interest. True masculine strength isn't about toughness or control, it's about discernment. It's knowing when to lean in and when to hold your ground, when to savor the moment and when to step back from the illusion. Because the moment a man takes a woman too seriously, too quickly, he surrenders his frame, that unshakable foundation of who he is. And when your frame collapses, so does your power. This isn't about becoming cold, distant, or heartless. Far from it. It's about emotional discipline. It's about refusing to let your identity be hijacked by her approval or validation. It's about understanding the vital difference between her interest and true investment. You're not in this game to chase breadcrumbs or to endlessly decode confusing signals. You're here to observe clearly, lead confidently, and remain steady and centered even as she moves through her emotional tides. Quick break. Close your eyes for a second. Picture her. The girl you've always wanted. Feel what it would be like to actually have her. Now open your eyes, because here's the truth. Right now, you're invisible to her. You're getting outcompeted by guys with more money, better looks, higher status, and stronger game. You're playing a rigged game, and you're losing. But I've spent the last 35 years mastering this, studying, testing, and finally finding the secrets to get the girls I always wanted. You want to stop getting ignored? You want her chasing you? Then you need to wake up and act. Click the link in the comments if you are truly committed and take the first step toward becoming that guy. Few spots left. Be fast or miss out your last chance to make her yours. Let's get back to it. Holding your frame means standing tall as the calm in her storm, the constant in her fluctuation. It means choosing your own emotional sovereignty over reaction. It's about mastering yourself so deeply that her moods no longer dictate your state. When you cultivate that kind of strength, you don't lose yourself to the chaos, you remain the anchor. And that is magnetic. That is power. If you chase after her every mood swing, you're setting yourself up to drown in an ocean of emotional chaos. But when you hold your frame, steady, unshaken, she will respect you. That respect might not always be voiced, but it's there beneath the surface. It's what makes her feel safe, intrigued, and magnetically drawn to you. Most guys don't realize just how easily they give themselves away. She laughs at your joke, and suddenly you're daydreaming about a future together. She compliments your shirt, and before you know it, you're texting her like she owes you something, affection, attention, or commitment. But that's not strength. That's emotional desperation disguised as romance. Real strength comes from patience and restraint. You've got to learn to slow down and allow her to reveal herself over time. Words alone mean nothing without consistent action behind them. Flirtation is just surface-level noise unless it's matched by genuine effort and sustained attention. True connection isn't built on quick sparks or impulsive reactions. It's built on patterns of reliability, mutual respect, and authentic investment. Until you see that, all the smiles and sweet texts are just fleeting distractions. Beautiful, yes, but fragile and unreliable. Stop handing out your seriousness to just anyone who bats her eyelashes. That's not love. It's emotional negligence. If you've ever been ghosted, blindsided, or betrayed by a woman you believed was different, chances are you took her too seriously too soon. You built a fantasy in your mind and called it reality. You ignored glaring red flags because you were intoxicated by potential. You listened to her words without paying attention to her actions, and now you're left with unanswered questions, confusion, and pain. That's the harsh price you pay when you place your peace of mind in someone else's hands. Here's the truth you need to hear. Your peace should never be negotiable. Your emotions should never be reactive or hostage to someone else's whims. You are responsible for your own emotional well-being. You can't and mustn't let your sense of worth be dictated by how she shows up or how she makes you feel. When you learn to protect your emotional sovereignty, you reclaim your power. You stand firm no matter the chaos around you. Because peace isn't something others give you. It's something you own, fiercely and without apology. You are not a puppet dancing on the strings of her attention or affection. If you truly want to win with women, not just for fleeting moments, but in a way that builds lasting respect and genuine connection, you must learn to enjoy the moment without rushing to assign it meaning. You need to engage fully and authentically, yet remain unattached to the outcome. Learn to listen without dissecting every word or gesture, and don't let your mind spiral into over-analysis. This level of emotional control and presence requires real strength, strength that comes from mastery over yourself, your emotions, and your desires. Most importantly, it takes a man who is deeply rooted in his own identity, who knows exactly who he is, whether she's in his life or not. Because the moment you stop needing her validation to feel worthy or complete, something rare and powerful happens. You become magnetic. Not because you're playing games or manipulating the situation, but because you're living authentically, fully present, grounded, confident, and clear on your purpose. You're building your life with intention, focused on your mission, and not distracted by fleeting emotional tides. From this grounded masculine energy, you naturally attract feminine energy, not through chasing, pleading, or compromising your standards, but simply by being the man you were meant to be. This dynamic creates a magnetic pull that draws the right woman toward you, one who respects your boundaries, matches your energy, and chooses to be with you on her own terms. Too many men fall into the trap of expecting a woman to complete them. They want her to heal their wounds, to fix the broken parts, to make the pain disappear. But that's not her job, that's yours. Until you learn to sit with your own emotions, to face your inner struggles head on, and to master your own emotional landscape, you will keep searching for in her what you lack within yourself. And that's exactly why so many men end up broken, not because she was cruel or unloving, but because he made her his god. He worshipped at the altar of her attention, mistaking that devotion for love. But that's not love, it's slavery. It's giving your power away and tethering your happiness to someone else's unpredictable moods and actions. Understand this, women are deeply emotional beings. That's not a flaw, it's their strength and their nature. But it also means their feelings can be fluid, shifting with the moment, influenced by circumstance, mood, and instinct. Their words, their looks, their flirtations, they often come from a place of feeling, not contract. If you start interpreting every glance or message as a promise or a binding agreement, you're setting yourself up for inevitable heartbreak. True love, true connection is never built on assumptions or projections. It's built on clarity, patience, and mutual emotional maturity. When you hold yourself accountable for your own healing and your own purpose, you stop looking to her as the answer. Instead, you become whole on your own. And that's when real partnership becomes possible. Real men don't get tangled up in endless interpretation or chasing after every emotional cue. Instead, they observe patterns over time. They look for consistency in words and actions rather than getting lost in fleeting moments of affection. They trust what a person does far more than what they say. Above all, they maintain sovereignty over their own emotions. Because the moment you become emotionally available on demand, reacting immediately to every mood swing or message, you risk becoming disposable, just another option rather than a priority. You don't have to be cold or distant to protect yourself, but you absolutely must be clear. You don't need to shut people out, but you do need to be discerning. It's about setting healthy boundaries while staying grounded in who you are. You don't have to be rude or harsh, but you do have to be rooted deeply in yourself, because clarity is true power. This is the kind of power that doesn't flinch when she pulls away, the kind that doesn't crumble into confusion when she suddenly goes silent, the kind that doesn't spiral into anxiety when she says, "I need time." This kind of strength commands respect, not because you demand it, but because you naturally embody it through your unshakable presence. Never forget, women test you. Sometimes consciously, often unconsciously. They test to see if you'll break under pressure. They test to feel your strength and resilience. They test to know if they can trust your frame and your steadiness. How you respond to these tests defines your place in her world and in your own. Not always consciously, but women test you to feel your strength, to see if you'll break, to determine if they can trust your frame. When you take her every word as absolute truth, every emotion as final judgment, every mood swing as gospel, you fail that test. Why? Because you're showing her that your reality bends to hers, that your peace depends entirely on her emotional state. And here's the hard truth. No woman respects a man who can't hold his own reality. You've got to be the anchor in the storm, the calm in the chaos, the lighthouse guiding the way, not the ship tossed around by every wave. Stop seeking reassurance from women. Stop chasing closure. Stop interpreting silence as a crisis. Your masculine edge is forged in your ability to hold discomfort without reaction. If she pulls away, let her. If she needs space, give it. Stand firm in your presence and your purpose. If she tests you, meet it with calm detachment. If she plays games, don't engage. Exit the arena entirely. The more stoic and composed you become in the face of her emotional volatility, the more deeply grounded you become in your masculine essence. That essence, the unshakable core of who you are, is what makes you powerful. It's not about the validation she gives, but the validation you no longer need. Taking a woman seriously before she's earned that place in your life is like handing over the throne to someone who hasn't proven their loyalty. No kingdom survives that way. You are the king of your life. Kings don't beg. Kings don't chase. Kings don't crown every woman who walks into the castle. Instead, they observe carefully, evaluate wisely, and protect their throne fiercely. Only the woman who moves with honor, who brings peace instead of drama, earns the crown of commitment. Until then, she's just a guest, not royalty in your life. Too many men fall into the trap of romanticizing early affection, mistaking fleeting attention for a promise, ignoring glaring inconsistencies, and over-investing emotionally in fantasies she never agreed to build. When she changes, pulls away, or walks out, it shatters you. But here's the hard truth. She didn't change, brother. She revealed herself. You just weren't paying close enough attention because you were too busy projecting your hopes and desires onto what you wanted her to be, not who she really was. Taking her too seriously means seeing what you want instead of what's actually there. A man serious about his purpose doesn't let female attention throw him off course or shift his path for a pretty face. He understands that attraction is easy to find, connection is rare, and respect is even more scarce. He doesn't chase chaos or feed drama. Instead, he walks with clarity, patience, and confidence, letting time show who's genuine, because any woman can smile or flirt, but only a real one backs her words with consistent, meaningful effort. Stop giving your seriousness away just because she shows fleeting interest. Stop building castles in the air based on day one chemistry. Protect your future by treating your seriousness like sacred ground. Only the worthy should stand there. Only the consistent, only the ones who choose you unconditionally, not just when it's easy or convenient, but especially when it's not. And if she calls you too calm, too hard to read, or too unbothered, take it as a sign you're doing it right. You're not another desperate, emotionally available man to be toyed with or manipulated. You remain steady, unshaken by silence, drama, or emotional games. Remember this clearly. You are not her therapist, not her emotional sponge, not a rescue mission. You're a man, and your stability is your greatest gift to yourself and those around you. Your emotional detachment isn't coldness or cruelty, it's control, it's self-respect. It's knowing that no woman, no matter how stunning or seductive, gets to own your soul without earning it through trust, respect, and consistent action. This is the defining difference between a man and a boy. A boy gives everything up front, his time, his heart, his validation. A man gives slowly, intentionally, deliberately, because he values himself too much to gamble his heart on a guess or empty promises. That's the kind of man who wins, who commands respect without demanding it. So hear me now, never take a woman too seriously until she proves herself over time, until her words align with her actions, until her presence brings peace rather than chaos, until her energy feeds your mission and your growth instead of distracting or draining you. Until then, stay grounded, stay focused, stay sharp, let her earn the right to be taken seriously. Meanwhile, you lead your life, you build your legacy, you live fully and unapologetically. You become the man you were born to be, not for her approval, not for validation, but because it is your true nature. And from that place of unshakable power and unwavering masculine strength, you'll naturally attract the kind of woman who doesn't demand your seriousness. She earns it. She respects the boundaries you set, matches your standards, and adds value to your life rather than subtracting from it. That's real partnership. That's real respect. That's the life you deserve. Thanks so much for watching. I appreciate you being here. If this message spoke to you or gave you something to think about, do me a favor. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss a new drop. I've got more real talk, more growth, and more power coming your way. So stay locked in. And if you're going through something right now, just remember, your silence can say more than 1,000 words ever could. Take care of yourself, keep rising, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.